All of these guys grew up in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood, Inwood, in northern Manhattan. And during Vietnam, as it went on and on and on, most of the kids in Inwood were either there, on their way there, or on their way back from there. A lot of my friends were serving in Vietnam. I just wanted to go over there and buy them all a beer. That's what I did.
I met Chickie. I knew him from around the neighborhood, but we ended up getting an apartment together. I don't know how the hell we ever paid the rent.
Chickie Donohue was always a great guy. When I say that to you, he was different. He was wild. He was great. He did things that nobody else would think about doing.
He had a rep for being like a little bit of a wild child, you know, like a little, you know, whatever. And so that's what made him unique.
Are they all here?
Hey, Donohue.
What's this, the USO? How are you, brother? I'll never forget the look at your face.
Like it was yesterday.
Wow. Holy shit. 47 years.
Ricky had to give up his poncho for you.
Yeah. So I'm in a bar, and it's Georgie Lynch was tending bar, and he was going on about the demonstrators marching through Central Park. And he says, Chickie, I want you to give me Siemens papers. Well, Siemens papers is like an ID card. I said, George, what the hell do you want my papers for? He says, this is bullshit, all that stuff going on down there, all them commie, pinko, lefties demonstrating against our guys. Somebody's got to go over and buy him a beer.
Yeah, he was a patriotic man.
So I said, listen, George, the next time I go to Vietnam, I'll buy the guys a drink, okay? I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry about it. See, I'd been there twice before. I was a merchant seaman at the time. I said, okay, I'll do it. Just get me the names. I didn't think I could do it, to tell you honestly. I said, I'll give it a try. It was one of them things. I come to the bar the next day. He had your mother there.
I didn't even know she was dating.
No. She was waiting there for me. He assured her that I was going to go over to Vietnam and find her Tommy. And the next day, George had all the addresses, and I was in. I went down to the Union Hall, threw in my card, and there on the top of the list was the SS Drake Victory heading for Vietnam. My last 2 times in Vietnam, I didn't see no danger. I didn't experience any real firefights or bombings or anything. You know, to me it was the Bronx or something. I was gonna work other guys' shifts and then have them owe me shifts. And when we got to Vietnam, I didn't think it would take me more than 2 or 3 days to see these guys. So I had to make up this story that I was going to see my stepbrother. And we just lost Mom. I gave him a sob story. And as it worked out, they pulled into Quinnon. I saw these MPs, they were coming on the ship, and they had their numbers painted on their helmets. I think it was 127 MP. I looked at my list, and it's the same number. I said, Christ, that's Collins' address.
Yeah. I'm looking over the ship, and the next thing is I see Chickie Donohue. I said, what the hell are you doing here? He says, I came to see you. That's exactly what you said.
He asked me who I was with. I said, I'm with you.
He's in a combat zone, and here he is walking around like he's going on a golf outing or wherever the hell he's going. Hey,
getting over his initial surprise, just slapping each other on the back. Hey, it's great. And he says, what are you doing? I told him what I was doing. Took out a beer. We drank it.
He'd have warm beer on. Where the hell are you getting this thing? I mean, you just got in country. Where the hell did you get it from, you know? But that was Chick.
I took a case of Pabst. If I had a burlap bag, I had at least 18 cans or so.
We got drunk, needless to say.
And that lieutenant actually tried to interfere with us singing them.
Well, you straightened about.
He brought his buddies along, and we went to a number of bars. I guess we were in one bar, and there was, never forget, a big Texan guy there, and he had a first air cav patch on, and that was the next guy on the list, Ricky Dugan. I said, oh, wow. I don't think I was in the country 48 hours, and that would have been 2 guys I found already. So I used the same scenario. Looking for my stepbrother, you know, he's up there. Is there any way of getting a ride with you? You be on a tarmac at 0800 hours, and I'll take you up to see your stepbrother, boy. I got off the plane, and you know, they didn't have bathrooms on that planes. So I relieved myself in the tall grass there. And a guy walked over to me, he says, hey, what are you, some kind of animal? You're in the real world now. I'm looking at him, he thinks this is the real world. The sergeant says, who's this guy? Who are you? He said, I'm looking for Rick Dugan. And all the time I thought it was gonna blow up. All the time I thought some major was gonna say to me, hey, what the hell are you doing here? This guy seemed to be the type of guy you could tell the truth to. I don't know why, I guess. I said, I promised him I'd come up and buy him a beer. Holy shit, he says, I don't believe this. He says to the guy, he says, call him in here.
First of all, this was uncharted territory for the most part. There weren't a lot of military installations that far north, and we were setting up and digging our foxholes and so on and so forth, and then I get a message on the radio that I have to come back into the main perimeter. It was a little sketchy because, you know, I have to now negotiate this 500 meters by myself, and it's kind of getting a little, you know. And I walk in, and there's a sergeant there, and I said, "Dear Sergeant, you called me back in?" He said, "I didn't call you back in." He said, "This guy did." And he pops out from out of this thing.
I say, hey, Ricky, how are you? What the hell are you doing here?
Chickie Donohue, in a Madras shirt and light denim jeans.
No, they were
powder
bleached.
blue. Like
They were
powder
bleached.
Bleached.
They were like a very
Bleached
light
jeans.
powder blue.
They weren't exactly camouflaged.
Well, I had to put a poncho on him immediately because otherwise it's like, shoot me, I'm from New York. Then I started walking him back out to where I had just come from, and I stopped and I said, I can't do this. This guy, he shouldn't be here. He's not, I mean, if he gets hurt, it's on us. So I said to the sergeant, he said, he's all yours, pal. So out he came with us.
He introduces me to his buddies. So what is he doing here? So he's, all right, so let's have a beer. I got a six-pack or whatever.
He's looking around. He doesn't see any buildings or anything. He said, where do we sleep? What do we do? Where do we sleep here? This is an ambush perimeter.
Well, that was going on. He says, now listen, you know where our line is. It's right over there, you know, and he's pointing. Shortly after, maybe 20 minutes, there was firing off on the left. And I said, holy shit.
He spent a scary night with us, and I think he, at some point, regretted that he did this.
That night was, yes, I thought about this might have been a dumb thing to do.
Well, yeah, we got through the night unscathed, and then morning comes, and he's looking for food. So I handed him a can of ham and lima beans, and here's a P-38. I hope you know how to use that. It's the only way you're getting that can.
I still have it.
Yeah, I still have mine also.
The little. Yep.
Yeah, the little can.
38 revolutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I said to the lieutenant or somebody, I said, you got to get him out of here. He's a civilian. And was he become the company mascot? I said, we got to get him out of here.
Dugan gets somebody to put me on a helicopter. I went into Quinnon and my ship sailed. It was gone.
Day or two later, Chickie comes back and he's filthy. His white jeans weren't white no more. They were filthy.
Yeah, well, I was the same clothes on. The same clothes that I found you the week
About
before.
3 days now or whatever.
You know, so anyway, as it turns out, we got somebody to give him another lift out to an airfield so he could try to get down to Saigon.
Then I had Bobby still on my list. I said, you know, where is this outfit? And then somebody told me, oh, that's up in Long Bin. I said, where the hell is Long Bin? And they said, oh, it's not far. It's about 20, 25 miles up the road. So some guy offered me a lift to the gate, tried to get the guy in the gate to take me in to see Pappas. And the guy says, who are you? I said, I'm his stepbrother, you know, and I gave him the whole story about Mom dying.
He said, oh, yeah, you're crazy enough to be his brother. So they brought him in, you know. He's lucky he didn't get court-martialed.
He says, holy shit. He says, I heard you were over here.
I got a letter from Chickie's wife, and I was a little pissed. For 5 or 6 days, he was over here and had jumped ship, and I hadn't heard a word from him, and we were the best of friends, you know. We ended up going over to the NCO club. I gave him new clothes because he stunk.
We spent a couple of days partying and He says, where are you? I said, I'm in Saigon. Geez, I heard they hit them bad. I said, oh man, it's over. I said, that was just a thing to get to the negotiating table. Just to say something, you know, I don't know, what do you say to a guy who's in a bunker who won the Knicks game last night?
I was hoping that he was right, you know. We really hadn't seen much action up until that point. So he went back down to Saigon, I went back to work, and a couple of nights later, we got overrun.
Went back to Saigon, and all of a sudden, the sky lit up north of Saigon. Just lit up, just like one big fireball. Somebody with some authority says, that's got to be the ammo dump. And that's the same ammo dump that Bobby was in the center of. Hitchhiker ride back up there. Went back to the same gate. And I walk in the doorway, and Bobby looks at me, and he screams at the top of his lungs, "You effing this and that, you told me the effing war was over." He says, "Look at this place. Do you think there's effing war?"
He kind of exaggerates the story a little bit, or maybe I don't remember it quite as much. I know that I ribbed him a little bit about it. "Oh, yeah, the war's over, the war's over. Thank God you came and told me, you know."
I thought for sure he was dead. And here he was calling me every rotten name in the book, and it just made me happy. I said, "There's nothing wrong with my buddy. This guy's fine. Nothing wrong with him."
Of course, we went drinking, and then the next day I got him a ride back down to Saigon, and that was the last I saw of him.
A couple of weeks after that, I walked in the door of Chambers. The colonel was there, Colonel Lynch, the guy who started all of this. And he says, "He's here, he's alive."
After he left, these guys in my squad, they were mesmerized. I mean, I never seen these guys like, "You don't have to be here and you're here." I don't understand this. Why is this happening? The fact that he showed up was like, well, there's actually people in the neighborhood that still care about us.
Something I don't think I'll ever forget. Seeing him come true, it was just, who comes over to see somebody and spends so much time, you know, putting himself in harm's way, really.
But to come here today, leave it to Chickie, he'd find a way, you know, to come up with another stunt.
It was a pleasure. It really was nice to see him. He looks great, you know. He still can talk.
Needless to say, it was a while before I had to pay for my own beer.